Welcome back, everybody, to the Grand Finals, the championship finally here for the UMG Champions Apex Legends Arena Invitational. $10,000 on the line. We know $5K for first, and it comes down to this. We've got two of the best teams out of the top 8 who ended up making it out of group play. It's been a gauntlet for sure, Onset and Gaskin, but the time has finally come, and I couldn't be more excited. Gaskin, hey man, these two teams are ready to go.
Yes, they are, and two deserved teams in this grand final as well. Very excited. I hope it's going to be a close contest because they both have put up some serious damage. They've both been insane with the plays that we've seen. But, you know, I just feel like there's one team who I'm edging towards. I won't spoil my prediction, but one of the teams in here I think are the favourites.
Fair enough. Onset, you might have your own opinions as to who the favorite is too. Don't give it away just yet, but Esports Arena Torrent. Did you expect Torrent to be in grand finals? I know they had a great standout performance, yesterday, but today they've been lights out.
Yeah, no, honestly, I didn't expect it. But as I say, it's wonderful when a player comes onto a team and performs, and Knooqd has done exactly that. And there's the whole justice for Knooqd thing that's going around ever since he was dropped from C9, right? Well, maybe this is the justice starting to come back. This is the karma starting to come back, where he finds a squad that he's extremely comfortable on and naturally fills a role that is providing so much for them. He's been the initiator in so many battles. He's won so many 1v1s, and him combining with Euriece has been really fun to watch with Arcane calling everything. So I think they're in a really good place.
Yeah, Knooqd, the MVP, if Rain Day had to give one. Euriece, though, you mentioned him, and for good reason. And let's actually hone in on Euriece, opposite of Skittlecakes, right? Two distinct players, two distinct pathfinders. Gaskin, without question, Euriece played out of his mind in the previous series. It does look like Skittlecakes actually has him edged out, though, when it comes to total damage. And the reason why I say that is because Skittlecakes has played in 14 games versus Euriece, who's at 18, yet Skittlecakes just behind that of Euriece total damage.
Skittlecakes plus any automatic rifle in his hands is single-handedly one of the scariest players in North America right now. It is insane watching his POV, and I love it. You need someone with that confidence on your team. Someone who is going to push in and absolutely shred, do that damage. Doesn't matter if they get the finishes and they get the kills, which he has been, but just do that initial damage. And as a Pathfinder, then you can get out, you can get back in, and it is great to see. And Euriece has been doing something similar. Okay, it's not quite as impressive. He's played a little bit more games, but has a similar damage total to Skittlecakes. But I think both of these players are going to be the players to watch in this because Pathfinder seems to be extremely important when it comes to arenas.
Yeah, absolutely. Pathfinder have always been those players that open up an opportunity for you to take the win. Octane as well, make no mistake about it, but Pathfinders are so electrifying to watch. And I think Skittlecakes and Euriece, two talented players that are for sure going to be opposite of each other at one point or another. Let's take a look at the maps on set. And even though we don't have the stats in front of us, I do have some insight here. But taking a look at it, Encore will in fact be map number 3, Dome map number 4. So we will see those two maps in addition with Overflow, Thermal Station, and Party Crasher. But those first 3 maps, what do they say to you?
Overflow and Thermal Station, it's going to be an interesting one because Overflow is high octane, right? Players are going to be flying at each other. You mentioned the two Pathfinders. They're going to be instrumental to success for either team. And I think it's a really good matchup to highlight because both of the Pathfinders have been two of the standout players so far throughout the entire tournament of all the teams that we've seen. Thermal Station, things slow down a little bit, but with the pace that both these teams like to play at, I can see it being a little bit more of a high tempo game, to be honest with you. But I think overall it's going to be somewhat of a clash of styles because Esports Arena like to play a little bit more methodical. They like a little bit of early chip damage. And I just feel when the game gets a little bit messy, when it gets a little bit scrappy, that's where Torrent have really come to the fore. So I think it's going to be a very interesting series. Encore might be a little bit slower, but then Dome, we've just seen some crazy stuff from Torrent on that one. And Party Crash at the end, a great way to end it. And I can see us going all the way down to that game 5.
It's funny, Gaskin, Overflow to start us off. I'm looking at the stats as a whole, and Torrent has played that map 5 times throughout the 2 days. They've won it 4 times, only lost once. You'd have to think they're the favorite there, but funny enough, as we go into map number 2, Thermal Station, that is one currently that Esports Arena is undefeated on. They played it 3 times. They haven't lost yet. So off the rip, I'm already looking at the scoreline being 1-1.
These are some stats I can get behind, Taylor. All right, this is what
Yes.
you've done. You've gone. You've been like, what does Dan like? And I love map win percentages because that is the best way of finding out what team is good at what map. And it makes sense because they get to pick their maps, right? One team picks map 1, the other team picks map 2, and that's why we've got the 2 best maps for these teams. Unfortunately for Onset, we've got Dome involved, and I know he's going to be angry the whole time it happens.
I can't wait
unless,
for
it, though.
unless there's a 3-0. If a 3-0 happens, then he doesn't have to see it. So maybe that's what he's going to be secretly hoping for.
I think you're just gonna have to deal with it. I mean, Onset, it is what it is, man. Life sometimes doesn't go your way, but you just gotta roll with the punches, man. And Gaskin knows something about rolling with the punches. He's been rolling with one all day today with the concussion, okay? And he's been killing it. So Onset, I'm looking for you to maybe step it up if we go to Dome. Speaking of which, Onset, hey, you gotta pick one team, and Gaskin already has his outlier, and I think you do too. Who are you backing up here?
Now, I actually predicted my finalist and the winner before we saw the last game. That's how confident I am, which is saying something. But having just watched that last series, I'm not quite as confident. But I'm going with Esports Arena. That kind of gave it away because I just think they've been so consistent. And consistency is everything in Apex Legends. Yeah, you can have a flashy play that wins you a round, but if you're consistent across every single round, you're not making as many mistakes. That's what the secret of team fighting is minimizing your mistakes and taking advantage of any opportunity that presents itself. I think that Esports Arena are one of the best teams in the world at doing that right now. So that's why I've gone with them.
I think that's well said, Onset. Gaskin, do you echo that sentiment, or are you going to be going the opposite of him?
No, I do. I think Esports Arena are the best North American team, if not one of the best teams in the world right now. And, I think my heart kind of wants to go for Torrent because, they've got that whole villain story with Knooqd now getting involved and, this is his origin story, right? He's going to turn into a beast. And Torrent, they had a poor performance as they started in the LGS, but now they're starting to come back into things here and they're looking good in arenas. But I think Esports Arena have just a little bit more solidity about them. I think they are going to be the team to beat here. But I would love to be proved wrong, and I'd love to see this one go all the way to a Game 5.
Yeah, Esports Arena, the only team in semifinals to get a clean 3-0 victory. That was over Arena Demon's second-place team from our last tournament. That was a big win, in my opinion. And Torrent obviously going to a Game 5. But still, though, the stamina was there, and they played considerably well. They could very well be the team to end up on head, but we're going to find out. Chat, who are you going with?
I know who Chat's going with.
You
already know.
Did you know
what a surprise. Yeah, of course I did, because you got some popular players on that team. That's all I'm saying. I could have guessed that one. Yeah, they're going to pick them every series. It's simple. I look at the Twitter numbers of the players when I go for chat predictions, and I'm just saying that I think at the moment Torrent are just, the socials are looking a little bit better. But if Esports Arena keep winning, that'll change pretty quickly.
It might, hey, that's the thing about it. Arena Demons in our last tournament, they weren't really well known, and they became quickly the favorites in our arena tournaments. Not really the same thing for the Moaners and BR, but still, though, hey, Esports Arena definitely looking. ALGS first place, all right, that's already something that they have in their corner. Plus, they're the favorite here in arenas. I do think the sentiment is going to shift towards them as a whole. Of course, they have to win tonight, and we'll see if they're going to. Heavy favorite, it seems, at least from the talent team. Now it's up to Torrent to prove us all wrong. Hey, Onset Gaskin, Grand Final is going to be fantastic. Take it away.
Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Taylor. And yeah, it's Grand Finals time, everybody. You know what time it is, everybody. It's time for us to see two of the best teams that have been fighting it out over the last couple of days go against each other. And to be honest with you, Dan, I think this is going to be a banger of a series. I mentioned the mix of play styles. I mentioned how Esports Arena have tried to play this kind of methodical game before they get their opening, and then they kind of collapse onto that. Torrent, they've been kind of like just like a kind of like snowball, like lightning, everything just kind of flying at people. And it's been a little bit less predictable, but it's been a lot of fun to watch.
It has. And do you know what I like with my bangers? I like mash. And there has been a lot of mashing going on with these teams. They've just been obliterating everyone, just pummeling their opponents. But I think Esports Arena have been mashing that little bit better. The potato is slightly smoother on the other side because they have been just doing it in style as well. Esports Arena, I'd say the scariest team right now around the world. And this is going to be a tough ask for Torrent. But if they can take game 1 here, maybe, just maybe, they could get a nice little sweep.
Well, it's good to see the effects of the concussion aren't hitting you too hard, Dan, as you're talking about mashed potato in the build-up to our grand final. But we're here, ladies and gents. We're here, Twitch chat, and it is going to be Esports Arena taking on Torrent in our best of 5. And Dan, we start off with some high-paced action here on Overflow.
Yeah, this is going to be both teams darting towards the middle. You're going to be looking at your Pathfinders, Euriece, Skittlecakes, grappling towards those loot pills, get those resources nice and early, but it may be a 1v1 happening right here, right now. Here's the Pathfinders, Skittlecakes, he loses the battle of getting to that pill, but it's alright because at least he didn't leave himself in a vulnerable situation.
Now let's look at the weaponry there. You saw Euriece has already invested in the devotion. Now he doesn't have the recommended or the necessary additions to the weapon to make it fire as quickly as possible, but it doesn't matter when you get this close and inside of a bubble because you can still shred through some shields. Here comes Skittlecakes now. Euriece just holding down left click and seeing how much damage you can get done, but this is the kind of speed I was expecting, Dan. And with all the carnage that's gone down, we still don't have a knock.
Still no knocks, but a lot of damage done, as you say. Verhulst getting some good shots with the Volt. Now Esports Arena looking to try and make this count. They're getting aggressive. They are going to be able to get the crate as well here, so at least there'll be extra weapons available for them. But Torrent very much on the back foot, and they don't really know where they want to play, but at least they've been able to get out together as a full three.
Have to see if the knock comes in. It's going to be Dooplex who goes down first, and Knooqd gets that first knock. Oh, the shot's coming in from the 30-30 as well. Pretty good. But at the end of the battle, when the dust has settled, I'm still not quite sure who won, Dan, to be honest with you, because everybody was just falling like flies. But when we do get to see, and it is going to be Esports Arena who come out on top. I mean, I tell you what, sometimes arenas can be difficult to cast, right? Because we don't get that final little moment there, and you have to kind of see what happens. But Esports Arena, 1-0 up.
You have made me belly laugh at least 3 times already today, and it's a great feeling. There's nothing better than a good old belly laugh. I couldn't contain it. It just happened.
I can tell you why as well. It's because Dan didn't know who won either. So he knew that I was going to have to announce it.
I thought you were going to stall for long enough to the point where you'd be like, and you know, when the dust settles.
I tried. What can I say?
Esports Arena, they played it right. They backed Torrent into a corner. Torrent were just at 6s and 7s, didn't really know where they were going to go. They did their best at holding their ground. They did some damage, but when it was all said and done, Esports Arena came out on top. So now Torrent need to find a way to do that same initial early damage, but actually get a knock. There was some great damage done with the devotion, but actually it was the response from Skittlecakes to force Euriece back and say, no, we're not going to allow you to just freely rain down shots on us inside this bubble. I'm going to get aggressive on you and try and counter it.
Well, how the game can change after just one round. You can already see a much slower pace. The team's deciding to split the map here. Verhulst gets taken down to 0 shields, but he will be able to get back towards his teammates here and get that battery off. That's not going to be too much of a problem. Euriece now putting the devotion away for now and investing in the flat line to see if he can get some long-distance shots down. But as the zone starts to close for the first time, still no real impactful damage being done.
Both teams kind of scouting all these angles. Skittlecakes actually doesn't fancy scouting. Instead, he sent himself fully into Torrent there. But as he grappled, the entirety of Torrent decided we're going to loop around and try and take the other position. So Torrent moving as a little wolf pack right now. It's whether they can get this package that's dropped. Maybe there's something juicy waiting inside that they can work with.
RKN trying to do a little bit of damage to the Mozambique, but that bubble going down is a great indication of what's about to happen. Here goes Euriece, but he gets taken down by Skittlecakes, as does his teammate. Knooqd will fall. And it was the battle of the Pathfinders again, and this time it was Skittlecakes who stood up tallest in that battle against Euriece. And it is going to be 2-0 now to Esports Arena, and Torrent very much on the back foot.
Esports Arena are just ruthless, aren't they? As soon as they get that damage, they will jump on you. The entirety of your team is going to feel the wrath of Esports Arena. Very impressed with how they execute things. Euriece just arriving a little bit too late to the party there. It would have been fine if elsewhere his teammates had got that initial knock, but it hadn't happened. Torrent will fall, and now their economy is not going to be as strong as Esports Arena. This is why we sometimes see arena matchups very much snowball out of control, like 2-0. If Esports Arena have also been collecting things elsewhere, they're going to have plenty to work with.
Yeah, Euriece just getting that grapple a little bit wrong, and that could leave his teammates exposed, and it certainly means they won't be able to get those meds they were desperately looking for at the start here. That pill's still not been open. Dooplex did take some damage, though, on the cross. So Skittlecakes, you can see, trying to control this inside area, has to pop a cell for now, and it looks like some credits will be collected. And now there's going to be a little bit of a rotation actually coming in here from Esports Arena as they back up to the platform side here of Overflow.
It's always good that even in like these moments where you're being shot by 3 different people, you can still go pick up some crafting materials because you know how important they can be in the next round, if there's going to be a next round. Because if Esports Arena carry on doing what they've been doing, this could be a very quick 3-0 to start off the grand finals. At the moment though, Torrent have been able to get that pill, they've been able to pick up some extra resources, so that will help their tattered economy ever so slightly. As for Esports Arena, they're very firmly holding the middle of the map right now.
Skittlecakes going for the hip fire, not connecting, as I feel should be the way a lot of the time from that kind of distance, but that's a conversation for another time, as RKN now has to escape for a moment. Skittlecakes now looking to just blind fire around some corners, see if he can make any kind of contact and get information for his team. Euriece backing up for now. Verhulst hitting some nice shots with that Volt, but not enough to do that damage. RKN, though, he's down to pretty low HP at the moment. He's got Euriece with him. Skittlecakes is going to throw that nade up into the sky, and if he gets some big numbers here, well, maybe there would have been the chance to push, but we're back to the standoff, and Verhulst is just kind of put his foot on the throat here of these 2 players from Torrent, just backing them up constantly.
They've done exactly the same again, just forcing them into a corner. The bubble is going to help them push up, but the defensive bubble comes from the other side. And Esports Arena, they want to finish this off now. They don't want to allow Torrent to get back into things.
And the bubble will go down first from Esports Arena, which is why they're trying to be the aggressors here. Skittlecakes will take 19 damage. That's a nice spray, but even though it's a nice spray, there's 2 players falling here for Torrent, and Esports Arena in some style in our first game of our grand finals will go up 1-0 on maps with a 3-0 sweep.
There was a lot of believers in Twitch chat, and I'm wondering, are they regretting their belief? Are they going to regret those channel points maybe drifting away? I know it's only map number 1, but that was a very, very dominant performance there from Esports Arena. A performance that we expected from them with how they've been playing throughout this entire tournament. Even though if anyone is going to take down Esports Arena, yes, it's going to be Torrent with how they played as well. But that looked like 2 teams of a different class, I have to be honest.
Yeah, I think it was very quick, and it was the map which I'm slightly concerned about with Torrent losing. I thought that was one that was going to favour them because of the fast pace that you can play at, because of those close range engagements. We've seen some crazy PK shots coming out from everybody. This first round was a kind of a prelude to everything that did happen. Every fight that we saw, Dan, was kind of extremely scrappy, and to be honest with you, could have kind of gone either way. It was 3v3 engagements, usually in and around a bubble, but when it doesn't go your way, it feels bad. And if you win that first one, the confidence maybe was what carried Esports Arena through to win the following battles.
Yeah, I mean, it was earlier reflections giving us the statistics where he said that, you know, Torrent have played this map 4 out of 5. They played it 5 times and they've won 4 out of 5. And in the next map, we're going to be seeing, you know, a completely unbeaten run for Esports Arena when it comes to Thermal Station. So that is quite scary if you're Torrent. You've just lost one of your best maps against the team you're playing against, and now you have to move over to their best map, which they've not lost at. It's not looking good for Torrent right now, but you are completely right in that, you know, the fights, they were close, and they probably could have gone either way, but they didn't. They went the same way 3 times in a row, and that's not good enough from Torrent. They need to find a little bit of consistency with their shots. They need to be getting that first knock and making it count.
Yeah, close isn't good enough when it comes to a grand finals of any kind of tournament. You have to be on top of your game, and you have to be hitting those shots. Just a couple, as I say, that's the difference. You summed it up perfectly. 1 missed shot with a wingman, or a PK hitting for 9 instead of 90. I know that sounds like a big difference, but when you're moving your reticle only so much to make that difference, it is what wins you fights and what loses you fights. But as we move over to our next map, you quite rightly said Esports Arena unbeaten at the moment on Thermal Station. And for Torrent, that's got to be a concern, because if you go down 2 in a series, I can't see them taking 3 maps in a row off Esports Arena.
I think the good thing is I'm not sure Torrent will be aware that this is a map that they're unbeaten on, Esports Arena. I don't think they're going to be looking that in depth back at, you know, the broadcast and be like, oh, they're playing this map. They haven't lost at this map. I think they will realise that they've chosen the map, so they're going to be good at it, but I don't think they know how good Esports Arena are going to be on Thermal Station. You said that Esports Arena, they like to play methodical, they like to employ some strategy to their game, and I think this map really allows you to switch up your strategy depending on how the game's going. You can play it very fast-paced, or you can play it very slow, you can kind of play in the middle, you can play on the dome. The zone makes a big influence to this one, but I think Esports Arena should have the edge. Torrent, though, they need a response, something just to lift them up, give them a belief here in this grand final.
One thing I love about the way that Esports Arena play as well is when they are met with aggression, like we saw in that first round, they're not afraid to mix it up. They will get in there and they will back themselves to hit the shots they need to come out and have success. And that was exactly how that first map went. I like the idea from Torrent to try and get in their faces early on and disrupt like they have done so many teams in the bracket before. But that's all said and done now. 0-1 down Torrent, 1-0 up Esports Arena as we do head into Thermal Station for our second map of our grand finals.
I'm interested to see how Torrent are going to approach this one. Are they just going to try and fly at Esports Arena here? Don't allow there to be any sort of, slow strategy, any sort of poke war? Or are we going to see Torrent try and outdo Esports Arena at their own game? Maybe play a little poke damage themselves, but again, Euriece and Skittlecakes are going to be the two players I'm going to keep my eye on because I think Pathfinder, very important.
Well, it looks like there might have been a slight issue. Maybe we'll get this one restarted. Otherwise, Skittlecakes is doing the whole, put them on ice thing. You know what I mean? Just like head games, mind games, I think they're called. Not head games. That was what you were playing earlier. It's very, very different. You saw that coming, didn't you?
Head games is the follow-up to Squid Games. I've heard it's coming out soon, so just keep
Spoilers.
an eye. It's actually just loads of games of me getting repeatedly hit by different objects. Mark's paying
until he can say the word Neanderthals. That's we'll get it out of you somehow. But yeah, I mean, a little bit of a false start there, everybody. Apologies for that. We'll get the game live as soon as we can. But it gives us a little bit more time to talk about Esports Arena and what they've done so well recently. And I think it's a tribute to these three gentlemen that we should be making that, this isn't an overnight thing for these guys. They've been grinding away in tier 2 competitions initially and working their way up to where they are now. I don't think it's a great example for everybody, as far as work ethic is concerned, as you put the time in, as with anything in life, and you will get the results eventually.
Yeah, they might not be, the kind of big names, the TSMs of the world, and they don't have the fan base that some of these huge organizations do, but they might do if they carry on the way they have been playing, because they are top of the ALGS. They are potentially going to win this tournament as well as other tournaments that they've been dominating in, and other teams just seem to be not keeping up with them at the moment. That can very quickly change in Apex Legends, especially in Battle Royale, which can be a little bit more fluctuation, as it were, with the teams who are at the top. But I think that they've shown the right attitude, as you said. They have been grinding. They have been in those competitions with some teams that might not be up to standard, and it can be a little bit frustrating at times to kind of play scrims and stuff when you're not in the elite group. But now they are up there, and they do want to be practicing, they do want to be putting that time in. I'm very impressed, and I'm sure this is just the beginning for them.
Oh, 100%. And for Torrent as well, it's if we talk about ALGS a little bit and, these two teams and where they stand at the moment, it is complete polar opposites, right? Esports Arena, top of the world right now, top of the rankings, number 1. Torrent, going into this season of Pro League, I was like, these guys going to be a team to watch, but they've had to make that team change, and now they find themselves down the bottom. But the one thing you want is the impact of a team change, Dan. So we're starting to see it here in the Arenas tournaments. There seems to be some real chemistry between the three players. With Pro League weeks starting again very, very soon, and where they are in the league, it's going to have to be better, probably better than they've ever played if they want to get into those playoffs.
Showing all the right signs, though. I think when I looked at, Torrent being a part of this tournament, I didn't expect them to be in the grand finals when I just looked at it on paper because of, the history in ALGS and how they've been playing, even though they have been improving. I didn't think they were going to get this far, but they've proved me wrong. They've proved a lot of people wrong, and they've got Twitch chat on their side now. There's a lot of believers, and they need to now show why there are believers here in this grand final, because it's all well and good, getting to the grand final. Second place is amazing, but once you're here, you'd love to get first place. You'd like to get that extra prize.
100%.
You want to do it for the fans. You don't want to just get 3-0'd, because I do see a 3-0 on the horizon as a big potential here, unless Torrent just switch things up and manage to kind of shut down the Esports Arena aggression and execution. And that might start with just obliterating Skittlecakes, because otherwise Skittlecakes, he does come in and he just shreds.
Yeah, I just obliterate Skittlecakes. Something that I never thought I'd say on broadcast, and it's something I never thought you'd say either. But esports is a funny place, and this is where we find ourselves, ladies and gents. We're ready to get into our next game. Again, a little bit of a full start this time, but hopefully everybody will hear the starter gun and we'll be underway as all the players look to be loaded into the lobby and ready to go here. And you mentioned it, Thermal Station does give a chance for both teams to just kind of face up against each other. It's not just a case of sending it so much. It's all about that initial damage. And I feel like Torrent need this first round. They need to get the economy on their side as well, because Esports Arena, if they win 2 rounds in a row, Dan, I feel they really start to just roll away with things.
Yeah, and it's all about angles here on Thermal Station. Take whatever object you can get behind, make sure you're not too vulnerable from certain places, but also you've got to be in a position where you can retreat and get to your teammates if needs be. But confidence is everything. You need to be happy enough to play on your own and output enough damage to scare away opponents, and it's not an easy target.
Skittlecakes versus Euriece, and Euriece will get that one this time, but Dooplex manages to take down Knooqd. So we have ourselves a 2v2 situation. Somehow or other, Euriece gets out of dodge. The finish will come in now from Dooplex, and we have a 2v2. Actually, excuse me, it looks like it's a 1v2 as somehow or other Euriece did get taken down, and now the Mozambique is not hitting as hard as it needs to in this situation. RKN doing what he can, but it's not going to be enough. The bubble on the door, and breaking and entering was Dooplex to come through to get those final knocks in their favor. Esports Arena up by 1 down, and now I am starting to worry here for Torrent.
Yeah, RKN attempting his best Hodor impression, but as in Game of Thrones, eventually, you know, the White Walkers, they got through. And he
wow, man, spoilers.
Oh, sorry, I've spoiled a 6-year-old show. If you've not seen it yet, my apologies. Oh, joke's on me, I guess. But yeah,
everybody,
that
Han
round,
Solo dies as well, just so you know.
that round was just all down to the early damage, and you said you were surprised like Euriece was somehow caught out, but again, that was the angles Esports Arena took. It was all opened up by Skittlecakes taking an aggressive angle to begin with, and even though he went down first and took a lot of damage, he opened it up to the rest of the team.
Euriece has managed to get away this time. We've got a 3v3 and we've got a frag grenade ready to be cooked, but look at this, they've singled out Euriece here and they've managed to get the bubble onto him. Euriece has got away though. And that's really important because you can see that RKN and Knooqd immediately move towards their Pathfinder to give him the support they needed, but there's just no rest for the wicked at the moment. Esports Arena are just stifling every single member of Torrent.
They're just surrounding them, swarming, just doing damage, confidence oozing out of this squad at the moment, but they still don't have a knock. Skittlecakes exposes himself, needs to be a little bit careful here, otherwise he will go down, but as I say that, he may have gone down, but RKN and Euriece have also fallen, so now it's a 2 versus 1, make that a 2 versus 0, and it will be 2-0 in this map.
Well, if it carries on at this kind of pace, Dan, you might want to shout for your kettle to be put on once more and a cup of tea to be lined up, because we could be here for a short time if this kind of explosion of action keeps going in the way of Esports Arena. Skittlecakes, again, just don't know how he survives these situations. He seems to grapple in, and his teammates are always there to give him that cover fire while he outputs damage, and that's what I mean about chemistry in teams, right? If you've got a role on a team and you're confident in your teammates to support you when you make those brave plays, then you're going to keep making them, and you're going to have the confidence to keep making them and having the success.
Just to clarify, I don't have some sort of butler that's waiting on me to make me a cup of tea at the end of every broadcast.
He does.
I have a girlfriend who might occasionally make me one if I'm lucky, but she's definitely going to be asleep by now. Torrent are in a sticky situation on set. They are in a position where Esports Arena now know they are the better team when it comes to these 3v3 engagements, and Esports Arena, because they know that, are playing fearless. They are taking the angles, they were running at Torrent, they are jumping on players, and it makes it so hard to play against a team who is playing with such confidence.
And not only that, with this being map point, Esports Arena have complete control of the dome building, and this is where the circle is going to be pulling, so it's going to be almost like a retake strategy. If you watch the likes of Counter-Strike, Valorant, wherever it might be, you've got to approach that site and you've got to work out a way to get those picks, and when you're holding down angles and you've got all of the cover that you need, it's so difficult to do that.
I'm so proud of you for knowing what a site is. For a man who only knew what a squeaky door was when he last
Once
watched
casted Counter-Strike, by the way, never played the game before, did it for a favor, only knew what a squeaky door was. You can, anyone could do this, I'm telling you. Put your mind to it.
Every time he said something, he just mentioned squeaky door. And
Squeaky door.
Well, maybe they need to open the squeaky door and find a way to, get Esports Arena out of this building. But it looks like actually Torrent are going to be taking some elevation here. Euriece grappling up to get an angle, but Esports Arena very firmly holding the donut. But Skittlecakes says, anything you can do, I can do worse, because he can't grapple up.
Well, hopefully he's got another grapple. However, Euriece's got to be careful because he's taking some shots from the vault of Verhulst as we switch over POVs to watch that man himself, as now they're going to see an opportunity to pounce. They try and do so with the bubble out, but they can't get that initial knock. And now Euriece is a power player here. Skittlecakes goes down, so that's huge here for Torrent to try and get back into this one. Knooqd manages to get that knock to stay alive as well. Euriece is going to be charging in with the Peacekeeper in hand as well. Switches back over to that flatline, but the Vault is just shredding away. And Verhulst is saying, this isn't going to be as easy as you think it is to take this round off of us.
Well, Verhulst and Dooplex going to combine on the top of the donut building right now, but it is a 2 versus 3. Skittlecakes has gone down, but actually now it's a 2 versus 2. Verhulst has done it again.
You can't let that happen. It's as simple as that. You can't give a free knock in a 3v2 situation. You have to take your time. Dooplex gets to finish as well, and that is not only going to be frustrating, but it allows Verhulst on the roof now to pop that battery. Without that distraction, without Arcane and Knooqd having to realize it's a 2v2, he can't pop that battery because the audio cue would have given away his position.
And Dooplex has just managed to get a medkit off as well. They're going to be back up to full health. What was a winnable 3 versus 2 is now a very difficult 2 versus 2 because Torrent's stuck in this building. Arcane's taking a lot of damage, and this could be, you know, game is set and match. Well, at least actually it's just going to be the map, isn't it? They'll be 2-0 up. Anyway, this is going to be a sticky situation.
Yeah, they need to focus one player here. Knooqd goes down first. Arcane's going to follow very shortly after. And 3-0 is the dosage that gets repeated here by Esports Arena. They will win the map. They will go up 2 in the series. And now, Dan, it's just one more map for the Esports Arena boys.
And that's going to be heartbreaking for Torrent because they had that round. They know they did. In a 3 versus 2, you can't allow one player to be singled out. You just all need to be working together. But I feel like they maybe didn't actually know where Esports Arena were because they had dipped down behind as the circle's coming in. Then they climb up and go on top of the building. And maybe they just caught them off guard a little bit. But, you know, it still shouldn't happen in a 3 versus 2. It shouldn't be that easy.
Or it could be potentially the last map coming up in just a few moments. But before we get there, we're going to go for a quick break. It's time for Torrent to rethink the strategies and time for Esports Arena maybe to start planning the celebrations.
Champions Apex Legends Arena $10,000 Invitational. I'm Taylor Reflections Noble, joined by Onset and Gaskin. It's looking like this might be wrapped up pretty shortly, boys. ESA is on a tear. Both maps, Overflow and Thermal Station, 1 in a way of 3-0. They're flawless, and they haven't had a challenge yet. I do have my concerns. Gaskin, I know you like my stats. Another one to throw your way. When it comes to Encore, another map that Esports Arena hasn't lost yet. Now, granted, not a big pool to, you know, kind of pull from. They've only played it twice, but they still haven't lost it in those 2 times. Whereas Torrent, they've played it twice, but they've lost it once. They've won it once.
I do like a good statistic. I was worried you're going to be like, they played Encore once and they've won it once. 100% win record, but at least they played it a couple of times, so we can get some sort of analysis.
My kind of stat, that one.
But
that's the one I throw it down, and I'm like, yeah,
the
that's
fact
good.
that we've seen one loss is... It's quite telling. The fact that we've seen one loss from Torrent and no losses from Esports Arena, that would suggest that statistically Esports Arena are the better team on this map. But I think we know that Esports Arena are probably the better team just from what we've seen already. I don't even think we need statistics to back us up there. It's all been there visually in front of us.
Well, I mean, if you really want the 1-0 100% map win rate, Torrent has a 100% map win rate. They played Dome once, and that's coming up next, so maybe that's their chance. But it is going to be tough. I mean, ESA's been looking, quite honestly, unstoppable, and I don't know if I expected anything less. ESA is just so deadly and consistent, and these 3-0s have definitely hurt. Torrent's going to have to step it up. I'm going to step out, though. Hopefully we'll see more maps, but this might be the final one. Onset Gasket, take it away.
It could well be the final map, and we are just moments away from getting into it, Dan. As you can see here, the new map into the rotation here, Encore, and I just feel like we saw a pretty crazy performance from Torrent last time they were here. I think it was yesterday they played this, and they popped off a little bit, to be honest with you, but I just can't see them at this point stopping Esports Arena. A first round vital for them to get on the board, I think, if they want any kind of chance of turning this series around.
Yeah, get that first round on the board, get a slightly better economy, get a little bit more to work with going into round number 2, and try and snowball out of control there. You've got to dig yourself out of a very deep hole right now, being 2-0 down in the maps, and you're going up against Esports Arena, who are just going to be full of confidence and will be flying at you. I guess one thing that could happen, Esports Arena could get slightly overconfident. They could, oh wow, I went really West Country then, didn't I? Overconfident. They could be overconfident though, and they could just absolutely fly and, you know, make poor decisions because of that. Try and go for some sort of entertainment, showmanship as it were, but we'll see what happens.
Well, here we go then. This is a big map here for Torrent. If they don't manage to at least challenge early on, then You get the feeling this one could be over pretty quickly, but they've singled out Verhulst very, very quickly here. Some really good crossfire, but once again, not able to capitalize and turn it into a knock. So at the moment, you can see just the HP of all the players. Not really too much disparity between the two teams, but still no knocks either side, and that's always the most important stat.
I love that, grabbing the crafting materials even though you're in a gunfight. Both bubbles down. Torrent have been able to get the first knock, but it's traded out, and it's traded out for 2. Verhulst from a distance with the Volt is again doing crazy damage and knocked the last remaining player.
Knooqd has to go crazy here. Skittlecakes is in front of him. Only 12 damage though as he managed to slide and slip his way around that corner. And now Knooqd is going to have to show something pretty special here. He might be able to single out Skittlecakes just momentarily here, but he gets so much damage exchanged by Skittlecakes that it's just going to allow Verhulst to move up, support his teammate a little bit more now, and without the meds to get those shields back up for either team, a little bit of chip damage is making this all the more difficult. But here comes Skittlecakes. He's like a demon falling from the skies, and he will clean things up along with Verhulst, and it's 1-0 to Esports Arena, Dan. And again, it's the same story. There's a scuffle, and even with a first knock going to the way of Torrent, it's immediately exchanged, not just for 1, but for 2 from Esports Arena.
And it's just the minor things from Esports Arena which just set them apart from everyone else in the tournament. From grabbing the crafting materials mid-fight to ensure you've got more for the next round, to then finishing the knock that's down, the down that's on the floor so that you can gain more bats or cells. You've got to get that body down on the floor. Everything that they're holding in their backpack drops so you can pick it up. They were pretty much in a sticky situation where they could have lost that 2v1 if they hadn't have gone for it, but they knew that the remaining player Knooqd was down, he was low, and he was probably going to back off and try and reposition. So they took that time to get those extra materials, and they got that bat off. Now Esports Arena 1-0, and this could be the beginning of the end if Torrent aren't careful.
Not only that as well, by picking up those crafting materials, by getting those kills, they're also going to be able to get the jump pad at the start, but it doesn't matter because look at Verhulst. He is just frying with that Volt at the moment, and I tell you what, ladies and gents, I used the analogy yesterday, start the car, because it's almost time for Torrent to go home because Esports Arena are just looking unbeatable.
You know that meme where it's like, this mother don't miss? That is literally him right now. Clip it, ship it, get it on TikTok or whatever social media you want to use, because we are about to see another 3-0 if we do not see shots missed like Verhulst has just done. Like, that is insane. 2-0 up. They're on series point. This could be the quickest grand final in the history of any of these invitationals. They are slapping.
Well, here we go. It could be the final round. And for Torrent, I don't think they'll mind it, to be honest with you. It has been a very, very difficult grand final for them. Now the investment comes in the form of a zip line. They're going to be met, though, by Torrent around this staging area. Arcstar will go in, and more grenades that we're going to have to pick up as well with their increased economy. And like I mentioned, this is where Esports Arena are most dangerous. When they get the economy on their side, as well as the shots, it just becomes such a simple game for them. They get the first knock, they'll get the second knock, and RKN holds his hand up, waves the white flag, and says, boys, you can take this one. Esports Arena, they are your champions here at the UMG Invitational 10K.
We have to give credit to Torrent. They've had an amazing tournament, but they did put their hands up at the end. They just accept that Esports Arena are on a different level right now. When it comes to arenas, when it comes to Battle Royale, they are the team to beat. A very impressive performance and a spanking of a grand final reflections. That one is gone. So I waited like, what, an hour and a half before I could come back on and cast, and this one's done in about 15 minutes.
I'm about to say, I feel bad that you guys had to wait that long for a 9-0. Like, that's crazy. Hey, shout out to Torrent, though, for making it this far, but I think it's very apparent now, or at least it should be, to the fan favorites, obviously, of Torrent. I know chat wanted to back them up, but there should be no question now that Esports Arena are the most dominant arena team that we currently have in the scene for Apex Legends. What a performance from them. And I think we need to make an appeal for next tournament, if we do have ESA back. I think it needs to be illegal that the Volt is in Verhulst's hands. Like, his shots were just stupid.
Yeah, I think stupid is the best way to explain it. I mean, the guys, all of them were beaming. I mean, I will say that is
that
RKN
right
on the Gibby. I'm gonna, like, do you know what I mean? Like, RKN on the Gibby, if you're gonna shoot anyone who's running in a straight line, Gibby probably the best one to shoot. So I'm just gonna, like, you know, show a little bit of the other side of the argument, but this is the kind of damage that you want to do. You know what I mean? You get that Volt in your hand and you're just walking forward. You're not missing. You're like the Terminator, just kind of smashing through doors and doing all that crazy stuff. But it was over before it even started. To be honest with you, I can't really remember any of the rounds because it's just happened.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, that is a beatdown. That is, and I want to say that as respectfully as possible because again, this was grand finals. Torrent played very well to make it this far, but Esports Arena just weren't playing around. They said we got other things we got to do today, man. Let's finish it up, wrap it up. It's over with. $5,000 going to them. Truly impressed. I'm looking at the stats and kind of thinking, who is the MVP? Obviously, Verhulst had one hell of a series. Dooplex though actually had not only the most kills but also the most damage done across the board. So maybe Dooplex MVP. I don't know. Onset, who do you think?
I agree with you on that one. We were talking a lot about Skittlecakes getting in and out, but who was the person constantly keeping him alive in those battles? It was always Dooplex. If damage got done by Skittlecakes, then he was there to finish off the kill. And that was the difference between Esports Arena and a lot of the other teams we saw today. Opening damage would be done for other teams, but they weren't able to capitalize. And I just think that Dooplex was always in the right place at the right time. And you can see it in the stats. The stats back it up for once.
Yeah, they definitely do. Dooplex, a player that we highlighted earlier in one of the earlier series, and for good reason, highly impactful as that Gibby player. Let's take a walk through the bracket and how everything ended up unfolding today. Gaskin, it was a battle in round one. We had a couple of close matches, the closest one being Torrent and Pittsburgh Knights. And then Torrent really never got a break, did they? Up until, I guess, grand finals, but Torrent, 3-2 over Era. That was the biggest win, I think, in semifinals as a whole, minus that 3-0 against Arena Demons. But Gaskin, as we kind of reflect and look at the bracket as a whole, what stands out to you?
I think what stands out is the fact that I think Era Eternity would have given a better game in the grand final against Esports Arena, which is strange because they lost to Torrent. But I think that their playstyle would have matched up a little bit better against Esports Arena, but that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's not double elimination, it's single elimination, so that just happened. They weren't able to give them the game. So Torrent, of course, deserved to be in the grand final. I just think it would have been a more interesting matchup. It wouldn't have been as much of an obliteration than it was, but a very enjoyable playoffs. CLG were a little bit disappointing today after a somewhat promise yesterday, and I think that kind of goes with how they've been performing in Battle Royale as well. It has been disappointing start for them, but maybe this could be the beginning of them starting to, just push on as a team because they need to. They're representing a huge organization.
Absolutely the case. Yes, CLG, when you're representing them, you need to be playing at your best, and hopefully CLG will turn things around. Esports Arena, though, first place in ALGS, first place in Arena. Let's take a look at the prizes for today, the final standings. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Esports Arena in first, $5,000 going to them. The hard work paying off. Torrent in second with $3,000, and Arena Demons and Era Eternity both finished off in semifinals, but still walking away with $1,000 each on set.
Yeah, really impressive. And as I say, great for Esports Arena. It's just another example of the dominance that they have. It's not just BRs, it's also arenas where they get the job done at the moment. And every single time that I'm having a conversation about who's playing the best in the world right now, you're going to be looking at the likes of NRG. You're going to be looking at the likes of, Cloud9, and you're going to be saying the likes of Esports Arena now. They've worked hard enough to be in that conversation, and they quite rightly should be as well.
I gotta say, really sad that Grand Finals was that short because I wanted more time to spend with you guys. It's always a blessing being able to work not only in Apex but with the incredible talent team, whether it be you two or of course Rain Day and Girl. Man, everybody just does an excellent job. Our production team kills it. I love the viewers. I can go on and on and on about it, but either way, I gotta pass it to you boys for your final words. Gaskin, let's start with you.
I hope that we can do this in person at some point, so I don't have to look at this camera and I can look at your face, I can look in your eyeballs, those beautiful eyes, and just be like, wow, he is an attractive man and he does his job well. Because you do. You've been a great host, and I think you would be very lucky to have you, and I think this has been a great competition. Always love coming back. Great to be alongside Mark. Great to see Rain Day and Girl involved, and hopefully there'll be a next one because I've enjoyed every second.
Well, the only thing, Gaskin, I believe on set, he said he was 6'1". We might need to stand on like an egg thing or whatever. Not an. I always say egg.
No, an egg.
Eggs crack.
It's a terrible thing to stand on. Of everything to stand on, an egg.
Like a box or something. Okay, because we need to like meet. Get up to his height. Either way, it would be fun. I'd love to look into your dreamy eyes, man. Moving on. On set, What are your final words before we get out of here?
Well, I'm not going to shoot my shot because Dan's already done that. So what I'm going to do is just say it's been a lot of fun. Shout out to UMG, as always, for putting on a great show for everyone. It's always a lot of fun for us to be involved with Reflections. You've been brilliant. Dan, you've been wonderful as well, even though you are slightly concussed. And I think that says a lot about your talent and the fact that you've managed to get through a show while not knowing what planet you're on. But yeah, shout out to the players as always. I think it's always important to give a shout out to the players. They're the ones who provide us with the entertainment. They're the ones who are the best in the world at what they do. And we're lucky enough to be casting it.
I appreciate the heads up. And Gaskin, yeah, concussion. The only error you had today was talking about smooth potatoes. Really threw me off. I can't lie, but and also ruining Game of Thrones. Well, hey, no, analogy or not, smooth potatoes. I'm all for it. Love my potatoes. No, it's been a great event. It really has been. And shout out to ESA one more time for winning the entire thing and doing it in style with a 9-0 victory in Torrent. Second place, not a bad place to be either. It's been an incredible time. As always, good things must come to an end, and this is one of those good things coming to an end. For myself, Taylor Reflections Noble, Onset Gaskin, Rain Day Girl, our production team, and you in chat, thank you so much for being here once again for another UMG Champions Apex Legends Arena $10,000 Invitational. We would love to have you again for our future broadcasts. Hit the follow button if you haven't already. We loved having you. We'll see you later.